Hi everybody, I'm Donna and welcome to Purple Pinky Promises. I'm going to bring you this project here and it's several die sets, and I've taken these die sets from the Just Add Cake from Spellbinders, and right here I'm just kind of doing a little walkthrough of all the products that are included in this box. As you can see, you get this lovely stamp set along with the cutout dies, which are very nice to have. I really appreciate them adding those dies in. Those are some rub-ons and some cardstock and an embossing folder, which we will use. We will also use this flower set, and we'll be also using the champagne bottle, the cupcake, the florals from the cupcake. Here's some extra die sentiments, and you've got some little shimmery shaker bits there, some lime zest for splatter. You could also, I think, paint with it. I haven't tried. But then these are the little shaker, round shaker pieces that you can use to insert into the flower. There's a flower in this set that you can use as a shaker. So what I just showed you are all the things that I plan on using in this video. So the first thing I'm going to start out doing is, of course, cutting out some cardstock here to place all of my dies on, so that, oh, actually this is not that part, but this part's for the embossing folder. And now I'm just prepping to put all of my dies. I pick up my flowers that I want to use, all of the elements, and I'm showing you which ones they come from. Some picking out florals, and I think there's a ribbon and the champagne bottle that I've picked out here for this project. I did end up needing to add an extra stem and leaf base for one flower, and I did that towards the end. Didn't think to count how many flowers I had versus how many stems I had. So here I am just taping all of this down and doing a one pass with everything. With the Spellbinders Platinum 6. This is the Lisa Horton. I've had a hard time getting this back in stock. I guess it's kind of popular because it's so pretty. But I'm going to take this one through. And I am filming this from home, so I'm using all of my supplies that are, you know, I craft at the shop, I craft at home. So got to have stuff both places to create for the shop and for classes and whatnot. So yeah, so now how you can see I've got all my little bits and pieces cut out. And what am I going to do with all that? Oh yeah, here we go. Here's the embossing folder, and I'm just going to give my shout out for the Platinum 6 and the universal plate system. Such an easy system to use with the 3D dies, especially the Spellbinders ones, but it does work for other company 3D dies as well. You just need a base, your embossing folder with the paper in it, and then this magical little gray plate that makes it like butter. And as you can see, I didn't take it all the way through. I only took it so far so that I could kind of have this faded embossed look at the bottom. I kind of wanted to play around with that. I thought it was a different, interesting look. And here I am. I have all my Catherine Pooler inks in line here. As you can see, down here at the bottom left, well, mid left of my screen, I am inking up the centers of some of these little, I call them little bluebells. They look like little bluebells to me. I don't know what kind of flowers they are, but I'm inking those up with Cashmere. And you can't see it at this moment very well, but the biggest flower, two flowers in this project are being inked up with Merlot. And Merlot is a retired color. I'm not sure yet if I have it in stock, but I will post a link to all of the inks that I used in this project. This Merlot is so gorgeous with these colors. I absolutely loved it. So I'm kind of showing you here all the pieces that I'm needing for the bottle, the wine bottle. And I'm going to use this wine bottle as my vase, my vase. So I'm just inking up. This is Cashmere again. And I'm going to go through and ink up this wine bottle. The main part of it is going to be in Daydream. And then I'm going to put some accents in it with the Skylight ink. Now, we used this Daydream in a class here recently, and I inked it up to bring it back home so that I could have it here to create samples or class projects in the future. So I do have little minis here at the house to create for the shop for classes and such. And it was quite inked up. It was quite saturated. And but what I did discover was that I didn't necessarily need quite so much ink on that main piece, because that's the color I actually wanted the bottle to be, and that piece that I just got done inking up is the piece that's actually going to show. But that's okay, because I feel like it might have given it a nice little layered look, and you don't have to have any, you know, color peeking out, like white peeking out from it. So I didn't regret that. Now I'm inking this up in the Skylight. A nice pretty green color. And here we are back to Cashmere for the centers of the flower, the big flower that you see there. There's 2 layers to that big flower. And I'll layer that up later. So I'm just getting all my pieces prepped. Now I'm going to tell you a little bit about using the rose petals. I felt like it was a little bit too bright. So later you're going to see me, even with this part right here, I'm going to come back in and kind of add a little bit of quartz, which is kind of more subdued. And what you see here, it's a lighter color. And that's what I was going for. I was going for a really soft spa look. And I'm going back in here with some quartz, but I end up going back in with some Merlot later. You'll see it later in this video, where I just kind of polish these flowers up, and they end up looking really, really nice. And I didn't want anything too bright in this. I did end up using some sparkly sequins from that mix that comes in the box. And I'll talk to you a little bit about that. Hopefully I remember to talk to you about that later. So here I am using some Seafoam, and I'm going to accent it back up here with the Skylight. Is that Skylight or is that Daydream? I think it's Skylight that I go back in there with, just to give it a little bit more texture, shading, and whatnot. So I'm just coming in just randomly. There's no rhyme or reason. I'm just giving it a couple of different colors, a two-tone look, so to speak. These are for the stems. Now this stem, I don't know what you would call it, but it has all those little buds that go on the end of it, and I end up coloring those little buds right, and I think it's next. Nope, wrong. I'm going back in with the remaining ink of Merlot on the brush, and I'm just giving it a nice little polished look, and I actually end up really liking this a lot. It gives it that softer feel that I'm really looking for, not quite so bright. So here we go. This is Quartz. You're probably wondering why I didn't use the cardstock from this pack. The colors are a little brighter. The pack actually kind of, you know, the different sets in the pack kind of lend themselves to a brighter look. But I just decided I wanted to give it a whirl and mix some things to try to do something a little bit different with this box, to show you that you have a lot of freedom in this box. There's so much you can do with the mixing and mixing and matching. I can't talk. Talking is difficult sometimes. So just a totally different soft look from these florals. I thought that was a lot of fun to play with. And I felt like I could achieve that better if I actually inked them up in some soft colors. I could have taken some of the cardstock. You could totally use the cardstock in this pack for this project. But you could actually ink up some inks that kind of coordinate with them maybe a shade of the color that's in the pack. You could ink up the edges and give it a two-tone look that way. So you didn't get a very good look at what these flowers looked like when I inked them up. So here's a little bit of a better look at those flowers. And what I did was I just went heavier on the outside. And you can see on those little flowers, I went heavier at the top and lighter at the bottom. And that's how I achieved the look that I got. And as you can tell right here, it's time for assembly. So we're going to assemble these flowers. I will tell you, I tried my best to edit out all the moments where I kind of went off screen. And my apologies. For some reason, the angle I was sitting, the way this project was set up and all the stuff on my table, it was so much more comfortable to kind of hold it at an angle. I don't know why. You know, you just, ergonomics. It's how it works. You just sit how you're comfortable and you hold your hand how you're most comfortable. So some of this might go a little bit off screen, but you ultimately are getting the idea and the picture of what I'm doing here. I'm just assembling these flowers together. And here I am, mindful. Oh, I need to be on screen. I get lost in creating sometimes, and I don't even think to look up at the camera. I just enjoy the process. I try hard not to make this too much about, you know, perfection. I try to enjoy what I'm actually doing. So, and that's whether I'm creating a video or whether I am live. It's supposed to be about enjoying. I don't get a lot of sit down and just craft for fun moments. And really, these are the times when I get to sit down and do stuff for fun and really kind of think outside the box and use my creativity. So things go wrong. Things don't always go right. We're human. We have bad days. Sometimes we shouldn't be crafting. I say that quite a bit. I've had days where I should just put the craft stuff down. And so here I am assembling this wine bottle. It took me a moment to kind of think about how I wanted to lay this out color-wise. But ultimately, I am glad that I did go ahead and ink up that whole piece that is used as the base for this, because, like I said, sometimes you get a little color peeking through and you see that there's some etching, and that color is going to kind of peek through, and it gives it a little, I guess what you want to call an accent mark, and yeah. And you can see that peeking through. It'll give it a little bit of a shadow. So I like it. I'm ultimately glad that I went ahead and inked up that base. Now, this bottle is intended to go off at an angle, either from the side of the page or at the bottom, I say page, the side of your card or the bottom of your card. You could do it at the top like it's pouring out. There's all kinds of stuff that you could do with this wine bottle. It's really cool. I like how they gave you the concept of a wine bottle. Now here, this is actually supposed to be a bow, and it actually has those little accent pieces down there at the bottom right. You can barely see them. I ended up throwing those out and decided I was going to just wrap it around as just like a little piece of ribbon wrapped around the bottle. So I'm going to go in with Merlot, heavy in the center, lighter at the edges, and wrap that back around the bottle. I thought it gave it a fun look. I felt like the bow was a little too big for the space that I was placing it, so I decided to do a wrap instead of the full big bow. See how big that would look on that? And I just didn't, that's not what I wanted. I didn't want all that attention there at the bottom, so I decided to just wrap it around. When I wrapped it and bent it, there was a little bit of cracking, and so I had to take my brush and kind of polish that up. Okay. Excuse the buzzing. That's my phone on silent, giving me notifications. It never stops. Okay. And here we are. I'm going to assemble my flowers. I'm just kind of taking a look at how high my tallest flower needs to go so that I have room for my sentiment up above. So that's the most important thing. And really, guys, I started to dry fit this, and I think sometimes I tend to overthink things when I start to dry fit. So I just threw everything back down, and I just said, I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to start placing things where it feels right. And as you can see, I just kind of poke things through, tuck them behind, and bring them out front wherever I need to do that. And wherever it looked nice, wherever it seemed to work, that's what I did. I went with my gut. There was no system or formula for this at all. I just moved things to where I thought they looked nice. That's it. And I tried my best to show you what I was doing. I was starting to have fun and just started popping things in. It was a lot of fun. There is going to be a picture of this project that will be posted over on Facebook. So I'll try to remember to post a link over there, but you can always go to my Facebook page just directly. It's Purple Pinky Promises. And there will be a still picture over there that you can take a look at if you wanted to replicate the project, if you like the way that things lay inside of this wine bottle for a vase. You can take a close look. You can zoom in and look at the floral arrangement. Okay, ready for our sentiment. I'm just putting down some anti-static powder, and I am stamping it with the VersaFine. This is the clear VersaFine. Gosh, what is that called? It's right here. VersaMark, not VersaFine. It's VersaMark. Excuse me. There's so many Versas. All right. And I'm just taking some white embossing powder, and I'll take the heat tool to it, melt the powder, and we'll get a nice little puffed embossed look. There you can see how it's melting it. I didn't show you the whole thing, but for beginners, sometimes it's kind of a neat thing to see how you take that heat tool and you melt it. I take it from the back side so that it doesn't blow off the powder, and you can get a better embossed look without blowing away some of that powder. Those tools are hot, so be careful if you're a first timer. So stamping in that clear ink first, actually first step is to get your anti-static powder down so all those little bits of powder don't go everywhere and you have little splotches of powder after you heat them up. Here's this. And then the second step is to stamp it in the VersaMark, put your powder over it, and then heat it. Now here's that little lone piece of stem, and I'm going to cut it because I want it to go the other direction. So I have to ink it up on the back side and then glue it back together. I just match them up and meet the stems together and glue them together. And then that way my flower can go to the other side. I had a lot of my flowers that were leaning towards the right, and I wanted one flower to balance it out and bring it more to the left. So that's what I did. I flipped it around. You're not even going to see where those meet. So that's kind of what I was going for here. So I just popped this behind. I just put some glue on my stem here, and adhered it to the back side. You can't really, I just kind of took a look to where you couldn't see that it was attached. And there you go. Oh, I forget what color this is. This Oceanside? I think this is Oceanside. This comes out of your pack, and I just cut it down to an A2 panel, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And I cut my panel that was originally, measures the same, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And I'm cutting it down to measure 3 3/4 by 5. Nope, by 5 1/2, because I'm just doing the little color peeking out the side. So this, the white embossed panel measures 3 3/4 by 5 1/2. The panel with the Oceanside panel is the A2 size, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Okay, just gluing the flowers on here with the everything intact. And trying to see where that right side of that bottle is going to actually be straight. That's what I'm trying to straighten up there, is the bottom right part of my bottle. It's going to lean flush so that I can trim off the rest. Just carefully trimming this off. And now you can see that that right side is just flush with the bottom of my embossed panel. And there you go. And now it looks like you have a bottle that's straight and peeking up from the bottom. And then we've got our birthday wishes sentiment. I will tell you, I wasn't completely happy with the way that I die cut it, so I did another one. And I just glued it on top, and it worked out just fine for some dimension. So the end card has 2 layers of this. So if you like that nice seamless look, you could just die cut it only, no embossed, no embossing, and just cut out a plain piece, and you could glue those together, and you can get a nice polished sentiment with some dimension. Okay, now we are adhering things together. Woohoo, we're almost done. And I think I've made it through. I shouldn't say anything, I might jinx myself. But I've almost made it through this video without any extraneous noise. Having 3 cats and a neighbor who just finally finished mowing their yard. Whew, I thought, oh, I'm going to have mowing in the background. Oh, well, it's life. Okay, so picking out these gems to go on here. I decided that I did want to add a little extra element to it. And I picked out these blue ones because they had, you can see it somewhat here. They have a little bit of a seafoam green look to them. If you turn these a certain way, they look, you know, seafoam green, and it matches the project. But if you turn them in another light, they're kind of more of a bright, a turquoisey blue, which is fine because we kind of have those colors in our card. So if the picture of this actually looks like they're really bright blue, they actually turn and change colors with moving the card. So here's a look, a close-up of this card. And I sure appreciate you joining me here. And I hope you have a blessed rest of your day and a blessed rest of your week. Bye-bye.